Good evening and welcome to Elon Local News. I'm Brian Ray.
And I'm Maeve Ashbrook. Our top stories for tonight.
Dangerous Dorian. Hurricane Dorian threatening the East Coast while already damaging parts of the Bahamas. Tonight we hear from students who live in the storm's path as Dorian makes its way to the Carolinas.
Growing pains. Questions over who is currently responsible for the old Elon Elementary School. Tonight, we have the answers.
And pay to play. The new way major Elon athletic events will be streamed, and it may just come with a price.
Those stories and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Evening, and thank you for joining us tonight as nearly 20 million Americans prepare for Hurricane Dorian.
The storm is currently making its way through the Bahamas and is planning to hug the East Coast before potentially making landfall in the Carolinas. Our Amanda Gibson will join us with the latest weather projections in just a minute, but first, we spoke with students whose families are planning for Dorian's effects. A Category 5 hurricane ripping through the Bahamas. And it's just getting started. According to the registrar's report, more than 500 Elon students are from states in Dorian's path. Elon sophomore Cole McCurdy from Jacksonville Beach, Florida, says his family is always careful when it comes to hurricanes.
Unpredictability is just the name of the game. It's you can't these models can show where it might go, but we've never known where it's going to hit.
McCurdy says with hurricanes being a normal part of his life, his family knows what to expect.
I really do feel for people that have not gone through it before because this is easy for me, but for them I can't imagine.
Elon sophomore Anna Sutton's family just moved to Savannah from Boston, where hurricanes are few and far between.
I don't know how the house is going to hold up yet because I haven't lived there for very long.
She says her parents have stocked up on food and water and continue to follow the forecast.
Not knowing exactly when it's going to hit or exactly how bad, I think is a little bit hard.
Hurricanes aren't new for Charleston native Emma Sossaman. Last year, South Carolina was evacuated for Hurricane Florence, which left an everlasting mark on her family.
That included my grandfather, who had dementia and Alzheimer's. And the stress of the actual evacuation is what caused his death.
Sossaman says for Dorian, her family isn't taking any risks.
If there's a 4% chance of water damage or flooding, my family decides to evacuate because that means about 10 to 12 inches of rain, and that can flood your car.
As of now, all three students say their families haven't decided if they'll evacuate yet. Experts from the National Hurricane Center recommend getting enough supplies for at least 3 days, making an evacuation plan, and if you're staying put, practice going to a safe shelter.
And with the latest on the storm's path and its projected timeline, ELN's Amanda Gibson joins us live in studio. Amanda, where is the storm right now?
Maeve, currently the storm is stationary over the Bahamas, and this is the strongest modern hurricane that has hit this area. Yesterday when it came in, it was a Category 5 with 180-mile-per-hour winds, whereas now it's Category 4, which means winds between 130 and 156 miles per hour. But as you can see here in this footage from two Elon students who are from the Bahamas, this is their neighborhood, and it has already caused insane wreckage and damage. But as this hurricane moves to the United States, we will see it in Florida as early as tomorrow at 2 p.m. and it'll make its way hugging up the East Coast and affecting all of it. So as we get to North Carolina, we are in a state mandated state of emergency, and so the biggest thing that we have to worry about here in Elon is the rainfall and the wind. So we're expecting to see 2 to 6 inches of rain and possible flooding. So this path is likely to change, and we will keep following that as the week continues. So I'll be back later in the broadcast with your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Maeve and Brian, back to you.
Amanda, thank you. And even though the storm doesn't look like it will hit us directly, Vice President for Student Life, John Julie, sent an email this afternoon saying the university is continuing to monitor the situation.
7 Mill Point residents are out of their apartment tonight after a partial floor collapse. The incident took place at Mill Point Building 120 following a party Saturday night, leading the floor to sink 3 inches and creating cracks in the ceiling of the apartment below. Director of Building Trades Tim Dengler says that the students could be out of their apartments for a while.
It's too early to tell cost-wise, but it will be a significant effort, probably 3 to 4 weeks minimum.
The students have been relocated to the Colonnades neighborhood. Physical plant and the fire marshal investigated the structure, determining that the other residents of the building were not in any danger.
New tonight, questions over who's in charge of the old Elon Elementary School. That property was traded to the university for the land the new building was built on, now owned by the Alamance-Burlington school system. And as our Liam Collins tells us, neither party is taking full responsibility for tackling some growing issues.
Students are starting their second week of classes today here at the brand new Elon Elementary School, leaving the old building behind. And now neighbors are telling me it's become an eyesore with overgrown plants, rusted fences, and broken plastic.
It sort of just looks like the forgotten child was left to do its own thing and is sort of overgrown and looks gross now.
When freshman Mia Blumenthal moved into Elon, she didn't expect this view. A virtually abandoned playground boarded up for good. It's set to be demolished in October, but since the trade deal between the university and Alamance schools in June, neither party is taking full ownership for the upkeep.
That would be the responsibility of the school system since it's still their property.
University spokesman Owen Covington says both parties have agreed they're willing to do what they can. But according to the county deed office, the university has been the site's legal lessee since closing in June. Assistant Superintendent Todd Thorpe says right now it's a joint effort.
Closing is changing of the ownership. So Elon University officially on the books owns this piece of property. I think everybody's doing the best they can to maintain it and to keep it as presentable as possible.
The contract signed by both parties states the university will lease the property to the school board until October to give them time to move out. It also says the school board would be responsible for all repairs, maintenance, and replacements in the meantime, but that neither party has any obligation to do so.
The plans for the property call for its demolition once the university takes ownership of it, and so I think part of it is not wanting to expend resources to maintain it more fully, given that it will be demolished this fall.
In the meantime, it's overgrown its stay. Liam Collins, Elon Local News.
The university plans on building new dorms and academic buildings on the property. Covington says those plans should be finalized when the building is demolished next month.
A local church trying to embrace an inclusive message, how the community feels about the initiative.
Strip coming up.
Six doors outside the Elon Community Church are starting a discussion within the Elon community. I found out why the church put the doors up and how the community is reacting.
I think it's inspirational.
Robert Googe is a minister at Pinnacle Ministries in Burlington. He and his wife Joyce were taking a walk in downtown Elon when they saw these doors outside the Elon Community Church.
Doing this opens up the door to say, look, this is an inviting place, especially in the type of world and environment that we're living in right now, where so many people are fighting against each other.
The message reads, God's doors are open to all, with a different religious symbol painted on each door. And while senior pastor of the Elon Community Church, Randy Orrig, says reaction to the doors has been mostly positive, sophomore Daniel DeRosiak just asks community members to also respect churches that enforce strict rules.
Personally, although some hardcore Catholics might disagree with me on this, I think if you're LGBTQIA, if you're one of those members of the community and you want to come in and celebrate Mass with us, you're more than welcome. However, I do believe that if you respect some of our more set in stone traditions, such as the marriage tradition between a man and a woman.
For those who disagree with the message, Orrig has a response.
And we knew that there would be some disagreement because not all churches, unfortunately, welcome everybody. They might welcome, but they expect change. We don't expect that kind of change. We believe that people are who they are and that God loves them for who they are.
You know, if they don't agree, that's fine. And you can explain to them why the doors are up so they can get a better understanding. So once you get the knowledge of it, then you can choose which direction you would like to go.
This is the first year that the Elon Community Church has put these doors on their property. Orrig says the idea for the project came from Elon alumnus and former ECC intern Jonathan Chapman.
An email from the registrar this week outlines some new requirements for graduation. Our Grace Morris is live in the studio to explain what that means for students. Grace?
Brian and Maeve, it's not exactly a new requirement so much as a new way to track a requirement. As part of the university's handbook, seniors have always had to complete what's called a comprehensive requirement, and that's different for each major. For many business majors, this means passing a 400 level course with a C, while for statistics majors, this means turning in a portfolio. According to University Registrar Rodney Parks, who was unavailable for an on-camera interview, Elon will add a new section to the degree audit to track the completion of your comprehensive requirement. And while the new degree audit system is coming, Elon is also going to transfer to a 4-digit course number system. This means that instead of a course being numbered 110, it will now be numbered 1101. And this means that when you're looking for classes to take next semester, you'll be able to see a description of the specific course. For example, when you pull up a description of Core 110, the description is pretty general, but with the new 4-digit course number, you'll be able to read the specific theme of each section of Core 110. Park says he thinks that this new change will make it easier for students to track the progress towards their degree, so make sure to watch out for it over the next year. Maeve and Brian, back to you.
Grace Morris live in studio. Thank you, Grace.
President Donald Trump is planning to be right here in Alamance County for a campaign event on Wednesday. The event will feature an economic roundtable highlighting how the economy under Trump's administration is benefiting North Carolinians and their businesses. Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina's 6th Congressional District will lead the roundtable along with National Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany. We reached out to the president's re-election campaign to see if his plans have changed due to the hurricane, but have not heard back. Affecting how you take food to go. Ahead, details on Elon Dining's new reusable containers.
Find out how the hurricane is going to affect temperatures later this week after the break.
You're watching Elon Local News.
You may have visited the Student Made store pop-ups before the holidays last year. Well, now you can officially shop from student artists year-round. The Student Made store launched its website today. Elon alumni Lindsay Reith and Ryan McIlhaney say despite graduating, they wanted to continue their work with the store.
We really take joy and pride in giving people the best outlet to share what's really meaningful to them in their art, because their art says a lot about who they are. And that's part of our mission for the store too.
You can read more about the website launch and the inspiration for the store at elonnewsnetwork.com.
Starting tomorrow, students who are looking to take food from the dining halls to go will be required to use a reusable container instead of a compostable box. Our Baylor Rahman explains how the new system works.
Elon Dining is trying to make their dining experience more green. Elon Dining is looking to reduce the resources and energy required to produce thousands of single-use containers that were often improperly disposed. The new reusable containers are free to anyone with any meal plan. Students without a plan can still purchase one at any of the 3 dining halls on campus for $7.
There's so many different things that we can do to, be better environmental stewards. So we felt this would be the best thing that we could do to allow students to be able to, kind of set their own standards and create habits here at Elon.
Waste reductions intern with Elon's Office of Sustainability, Michael Ibas, says he and the Sustainability Office worked with Elon Dining over the summer to work together and push the new program. Some students are excited for the change.
I guess it's easy for me since I have a meal plan, so it kind of comes free for me, so that's kind of no hassle. I think it's good. I mean, any way to help the environment I'm kind of good for.
Others have a few concerns.
If you're eating like a salad in the container and you just throw it in your lunchbox or in your backpack to go, maybe something might spill in your backpack if it opens up.
Hearing some of the student concerns, Michael says they took a look at everything to make sure this made sense both financially and environmentally for the university.
Yes, your concerns were something that we thought about this summer. When you kind of do the math and you look at the ordering purchases, so the amount of trucks and shipment it takes to actually ship in the regular to-go boxes compared to the reusable ones, it kind of balances out.
Baylor Rodman, Elon Local News.
If students have any other questions, you are urged to reach out to the Office of Sustainability or visit Elon Dining's website.
Well, Maeve, today's Labor Day, which usually marks the end of summer, but I don't know, I feel like summer's still in the air.
It's actually a beautiful day outside. It's that perfect, slight breeze between hot and fall weather. I'm excited. This is the summer. I did not get where I'm from, so I'm excited about that.
Well, our Amanda Gibson joins us again. Amanda, what does the rest of the week look like for us?
Well, y'all, it is so hot out here right now. It is September, but we are not seeing those fall temperatures yet. It is 87 degrees and I am sweating. It is way too hot out here, and unfortunately we will see those temperatures through tomorrow and through Wednesday, as well as the high stays around the 90s in our 5-day forecast, but the low tomorrow will get down to into the 60s and down to the 70s as well. Tuesday will be sunny, and Wednesday we'll start to see those clouds come in as a result of Hurricane Dorian. Thursday is when we'll start to see that rain, and it becomes an issue about how much rainfall we'll see as a result of the hurricane, with a high of 75 and a low of 65. But as that hurricane continues to move away, those high temperatures will come back with highs in the 80s and lows in the 60s, and the sun will come back this weekend. That's all for your 5-day forecast. Now back to y'all.
Amanda Gibson with the Phoenix 5-day forecast. Thanks, Amanda.
Online streaming of major Elon athletic events is soon going to cost you. That story and sports coming up next.
Here's Caitlin Rundle with the latest on sports. Caitlin?
Fall sports are back in action with all of our fall sports playing this weekend. Women's soccer played last night, where they lost their first game of the season to Furman University 3-0. Their record is now 3-1 as they go into their next game, which will be played on Thursday against the Richmond University Spiders in Richmond. Men's soccer played in the John Reaney Nike Classic in Durham, playing California State University Bakersfield on Friday and Furman University yesterday. The Phoenix won their first game against CSU Bakersfield 3-2 and then went to tie in double overtime against Furman University 3-3. The men will come back home for their next game against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on Saturday at 7. Volleyball played in the RMU Sheraton Invitational in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. They lost their first 2 games against McNeese State University and Robert Morris University 3-2, then scraped together 3 winning sets after losing the first 2 to come back and win against Manhattan College 3-2. They will next play in Lynchburg, Virginia in the Liberty Invitational. Football played in their season opener against the North Carolina A&T Aggies, where they lost in the last second of the game 24-21. Although the Phoenix lost, smiles were all around at the return of junior quarterback Davis Cheek, who was sidelined last year after a season-ending ACL tear. Our Alex Reynolds has the story.
The first game of the football season is exciting for players, coaches, and especially the fans. But for junior quarterback Davis Cheek, the Phoenix opener at North Carolina A&T was a matchup 10 months in the making. Cheek suffered one of the worst injuries a football player can endure, a full tear of his ACL in Week 6 last year. After a long road to recovery, Cheek was back at full strength for the trip to Greensboro, a game he said would be the biggest test on the knee to this point.
It felt good. I mean, no problems or anything, nothing major that happened. I just got to play better. We got to play better as a team.
Cheek started his season off hot, throwing for 202 yards and a touchdown to junior wide receiver Cortez Weeks. The quarterback did not miss a step in terms of leadership either. Cheek led the offense to 3 scoring drives and fired up the team when they were down on the scoreboard. These highlights did not come easy. After the graduation of CJ Toogood and Uli Odo last year, Cheek would stand behind a young and experienced offensive line. Cheek was sacked 5 times by the Aggies and forced to escape the pocket on a recovering knee often.
Yeah, I mean, Davis is a tough kid. He's going to play every snap of the game, and so is everybody else in that locker room. That's the kind of football team we are. This team's got a lot of grit. They're a 4-quarter team.
Cheek will make his long-awaited homecoming to Rhodes Stadium this Saturday, September 7th at 2 p.m. when the Phoenix take on the Citadel Bulldogs.
I just want as much fan support as possible. It's the best when fans pack Rhodes Stadium. I can promise you that this result, we're going to work a lot harder, and we're going to do a lot more things to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Alex Reynolds, Elon Local News.
And for more on Davis Cheek's comeback, check out this week's copy of The Pendulum or see it online at elonnewsnetwork.com.
And if you are planning on watching Davis Cheek in his next game on Saturday, it may be a bit more expensive. While ticket prices aren't going up, starting Saturday, many Elon games will no longer be free to stream online. Now a subscription to Flow Sports will be needed in order to stream several Elon games this fall, including 8 football games. This comes from a larger movement from the Colonial Athletic Association to bring in more revenue. Our Ashley Moran has the story.
Netflix, Hulu, and HBO are just a few streaming services some students pay for each month. And for those who want to stream Elon sports games, Flow Sports is another subscription to add to the list. Junior Noah Orr sees one drawback with subscribing to the broadcast: the price.
I would not put like my $12 of Netflix money a month to sports.
Flow Sports has 2 fixed prices for subscriptions: $12.50 per month and $95.88 per year. Elon Sports Vision will live stream Elon athletics through Flow Sports, and ESV treasurer Chris Morrison says he doesn't see students paying for the subscription.
If they're at home in their room, I don't see them really watching the away games too much or wanting to pay for it.
Even though Flow Sports may not benefit the pockets of the student body, Morrison says it will benefit the resumes of the 30 students working for ESV.
It's pretty exciting to have this professional name to put on our resumes. It makes it what we do with our broadcast seem a lot more credible, a lot more professional.
ESV coordinating producer Katie Halter says Flow Sports' unlimited access to all content gives you more bang for your buck. But she says so far, reactions are mixed.
Season tickets here are relatively cheap, so it's pretty much balances out the cost of buying a subscription or season tickets. I hope that it changes, but also for the university's sake and for attendance sake, getting people in the stands is just as valuable as getting people to watch the broadcasts.
The CAA is under contract with Flow Sports for the next 3 years, so until 2022, students can go to the games for free or watch online for a price. Ashley Moran, Elon Local News.
To read more about Flow Sports, grab a copy of next week's Pendulum.
I don't know about you, Maeve, but for me personally, I prefer to go to the games, be there with the energy, so I guess this change doesn't really affect me.
That's personally, it doesn't really affect me either. I'm not that big of a sports, so I've been to one football game. That's the only thing I've ever gone to.
You've only been to one?
Yeah, but maybe this will help me. If it's a Friday night and I want to lay in my bed.
That's true. Well, that's all the news we have for you today. I'm Brian Ray.
And I'm Maeve Ashbrook. Remember, our coverage is online anytime at elonnewsnetwork.com.
And be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for the latest news at Elon News Network.
On air, online, and in the stands, we are Elon News Network. Have a great Labor Day, everyone.